Welcome to Rediscover the Verde Valley. I'm Christian Oliva Del Rio. I'm your president and CEO for the Cottonwood Chamber of Commerce. And with me today is Dr. Jean Barton, and you are the Director for Enrollment and Promotion for the Verde Valley Imagination Library. Welcome.
That's quite a title.
It is a title, right? It means you're an amazing woman and you're doing a lot for our community, and we sure do appreciate it.
It's a fun job. It comes with benefits.
Well, and as we can see, you get your own uniform and everything,
That's absolutely right. And I get to play.
Yes. When I got here this morning, I was telling them that they needed to look for the Cat in the Hat would be walking in a helmet. So
We've gotten a reputation throughout the Verde Valley.
Well, you know, I think a lot of people know about what you do. In fact, I don't know if you know Karen Pfeiffer in my office. She was on the city council, and when I told her I was interviewing you, she wanted me to express her appreciation for everything that you do.
Well, thank you. I have a lot of friends that help.
Yeah, it does. It does help to have partners,
yes.
and I really want the chamber to be a partner as well with you guys. So,
I like that.
you know, can you give us a little bit of history about yourself and some of the things that you also are engaged in the community here?
Well, in the old days,
I
was a pediatrician and I taught pediatrics to med students and residents. First at the Children's Hospital in Kansas City, and then at the County Hospital in Minneapolis, associated with the University of Minnesota. And I, not by plan, but by necessity, got quite good at behavioral developmental pediatrics.
Right, okay, yeah.
And I learned very quickly that the underpinnings for both learning and health start in the first 5 years of life.
Right. They're little sponges, right? Our little ones.
They are sponges.
And absorbing, yeah.
Yes.
That's why this program is so key and instrumental in those young lives, right?
As are parents.
Right, exactly.
And my past job worked with parents through parents, and part of it was to make their jobs easier, and make it easy for them to do what's good for their kids.
And again, just because we were just talking about this before we started, is just how much of a no-brainer and how easy and how stress relieving this particular program can be, right? In educating your kids.
And I had not heard about the Imagination Library till I retired and was hiking with a friend.
Wow, yeah.
And as you know, I think all the Rotary clubs help to support the program.
Right.
And I was looking at the literacy issues that face Arizona and the Verde Valley.
Yeah.
And I looked to see whether any of the programs I had participated in previously were here.
Right.
And one of them was not the Reach Out and Read program, but Raising a Reader was. But then I found out there weren't that many kids that participated in it.
Right.
And I started to learn more about the Imagination Library and why it spread by popular demand.
Yeah, it is a little scary, some of the stats that I was reading on the information that you gave me, huh? You know, what was it, 31% of the kids?
Yeah, that's kind of scary.
That is 31%.
And it's not because it's and the majority of the families speak English. It's easy to think perhaps because if English is your second language that's the problem, but it's not.
No, it's exposing them to images and to language, and and having those conversations. I was kind of sharing with you my granddaughter, you know, when she was a little tiny baby, and she was just discovering her voice, and how I would tell her, tell me a story, Emma, and, you know, and she would rattle off like she knew she was telling me a story, and engaging with them, just getting them in that act of expressing themselves.
And reading is one way,
right? But
also just the give and take of talking about your world,
right?
And talking to them and waiting for them to talk to you back, and then
responding to them, right.
And that's a lot of the fun of it all.
Right, it is fun. It sure is. I love it. So. So you mentioned the Rotary Club. So are you a member of Rotary?
I am a member of the Rotary Club of Sedona. And the current district governor for the northern half of Arizona actually started it for Sedona in 2012.
Okay.
The current superintendent of the Beaver Creek school system got wind of it and wanted it over there in 2015.
Right.
And then in 2016, we were able to get grant funding to roll it out to the whole Verde Valley.
So then all of the other, because I'm a member of the Verde Valley
Yes.
Rotary, and so that was where I was first exposed to it, right?
Well, what happened is we got representatives of every Rotary Club
Right.
to form our committee to make this happen.
Yeah.
And eventually, to try and get the funding for it, we became our own 501c3. But in reality, the leadership comes from the Rotary Club, but the success of the program is simply not limited to the involvement of the Rotary Clubs.
Right, right. So again, those key partners stepping up and seeing the
very key
importance of this. So
both with regard to the program itself and the funding.
Right. Yeah. That's amazing. And so for those that really don't understand or know what the Dolly Parton Imagination Library is, let's give a little bit of background on that.
It started in one small county in Tennessee. It was rural, and Dolly was looking as a way to give back and to improve school performance, reduce dropout rates. And her foundation said, and she said, why don't we just send a gift of a book to a child every month from the time they're born until the time they're 5. Yeah. And she actually attributes her parents reading to her with her success. And it became so popular that neighboring counties wanted it, and then it spread throughout Tennessee. The state of Tennessee, in their wisdom, decided to help support it.
That's amazing, yeah.
And then it spread nationally and then internationally.
Right. And so share with me again, because you said that it is international. So we've got...
It's in United States, Canada, Australia, England, and now Ireland.
Right. And 1.5 million?
1.5 million kids.
Right. That's amazing. Yeah. And a simple idea. Let's give a kid a book.
Right. Let's give a kid a book.
Right, right.
But the other brilliance of it is the success of it depends on the community support.
Right. So that's key. And let's share a little bit more about that. So how have you felt the Verde Valley taking on this
well, the more they understand it, the more they support it.
Right.
And that's part of the promotion part of it.
Right.
A lot of, actually somebody asked me, so I'm retired, my kids are grown, why should I care?
Yeah.
And the reason is that you need an educated workforce.
I was just going to say, if you're retired and you're relying on the
and you won't have a doctor or a nurse,
kind of makes sense
or
to
any
me.
help. And not only that, no family will want to move here unless it's a healthy place for their kids to grow up. Right. And as we know, our unemployment rate is very low, and we do want people to be here.
Absolutely, yeah. So you've been getting some great response from partners. Can you name some of the other partners in the area that are helping
out? On a program side, the libraries, the community libraries have been wonderful. Yeah. The children's librarians, and they get it that if a child loves books when they're 2 or 3, they're going to want to come to the library, and 1 book a month may not be enough.
Right.
So they've got that.
Yeah.
The other huge supporter has been the Verde Valley Medical Center nurses.
Yes.
And for those of you that don't know, the message in the books start when the babies are born.
Right.
And the nurses give the first book, which is always the little engine that could.
Right.
And the message clearly is not for the new baby, it's for the parents, which say, and the message is, I think I can. Yeah. And the other message is, babies are born listening and learning. And it's not too early to bring books into the home. And then they help a parent enroll, and the mailed book arrives when the kids are 2 to 3 months old. Right. And by that time, they like bright pictures, and they are beginning to reach and maybe point.
Right,
and,
or flip a page.
And the actual sharing of a picture together and having fun with the parent, it's sharing books for pleasure that is the seed.
Right. It definitely does make them want to learn more.
They do,
right?
and it doesn't matter whether it's in English or Spanish.
Exactly, yeah. Again, another story I was sharing with you, my granddaughter, and at a very early age, she was going up and grabbing the books off of her library, her bookshelf, and she'd grab 5 or 6 of them, and all we would do is we would flip through, and I would kind of tell her, each picture, like you're saying, this is the story, and we'd go through it, and she would love it, and okay, here's another book, and it was never ending. So
and nap times are a lot easier when they have a book
and a story, and yeah. So I tell you what, we're going to take a quick break,
Okay.
and when we come back, we'll talk some more about this, okay?
Thank
you. We'll see you in a minute.
This is Bruce Morrow, Transportation Manager for Cottonwood Area Transit. Remember, we cover the entire Verde Valley and Sedona. Cottonwood Area Transit has you covered wherever you want to ride in the Verde Valley, all day, every day. Take Cottonwood Area Transit through Clarkdale, Verde Village, and from 26 locations in Cottonwood. With Verde Links, it's a quick and easy trip to Sedona every day. Don't forget our connectors to Camp Verde. Visit cottonwoodaz.gov for Cottonwood Area Transit and take a seat. Let's go ride.
There are people who struggle with addiction and homelessness. Sometimes it may feel like there is nothing we can do to help.
But there is. You can make a tax-deductible donation and help those in need transition away from homelessness. When you give someone a handout, you could actually be supporting an addiction.
A better life starts with better health, especially for those living in the streets.
Support solutions, not addictions. You can make a difference. Visit cottonwoodcares.org.
Welcome back to Rediscover the Verde Valley. Again, my name is Christian Oliva Del Rio. I'm with the Cottonwood Chamber of Commerce. And with me again is Dr. Jean Barton, and we are talking about the Imagination Library, and more specifically the Verde Valley Imagination Library,
Yes.
our own 501c3 organization now, right? That's a big deal.
It is.
It is, and it's growing.
It is growing.
And it's growing to other communities. So you were sharing with me that Prescott just set one up, right? And,
They did.
And we're looking to try to get maybe Prescott Valley and some of the other surrounding
That's the
Yavapai
long-range
County,
plan.
right?
Yes.
Right. So, and eventually, I think we want to get the state at the state level.
Well,
Obviously.
that's my dream. Hopefully in my lifetime.
Right. And wouldn't it be great if they took a cue from Tennessee and helped
And
fund,
North Carolina and Arkansas.
Right, there you go.
And
There's a whole
Alaska and a few others that are coming.
Let's
on
get a
board.
list of them so
Yes.
that we can go to the state and say this is something that we need, right?
I don't get into trouble.
No, you won't get into trouble because I think there are enough people in the community that believe in it.
Okay.
And you know, the Chamber of Commerce does a Chamber Day down at the legislature.
Okay.
And so it's 50 plus chambers within the state that all come together.
It
and
would
I
be
think
lovely.
if we could get all of the chambers of commerce involved and engaged in this program and spreading the word, it could start a
Well,
tidal wave.
It's a delightful program.
It is.
And like I say, the underpinnings are language and vocabulary.
Right.
And having books in the home don't necessarily teach a child to read,
Yeah.
but the foundation, it sets the foundation.
Right, it does. It's a very important foundation because, like I said, I keep referring back to my kids because I've had my own personal experience with this program, and
Yeah.
I've seen how wonderful it is. You know, we were kind of talking about the stresses of life, and two parents working 1-2 jobs and raising little ones at the same time. It's tough. And to be able to take enough time to leave what you're doing and all the stresses of life to go to a library and get a book for your young ones could be challenging, right?
There's just no time.
Right.
And quite frankly, the best way to unwind at the end of the day is to cuddle with your child in a book.
Yeah.
And there's no backlit screens
Right.
to distract.
Right.
And usually both parents and the kids are asleep in no time at all.
Yeah. That's very relaxing, very stress relieving. Yeah,
Especially when you read it for the third or fourth time.
Right, I know.
The child may be awake, but you won't be.
Ready to go to sleep, right?
Yes, that's right.
So the website is vvilbooks.com, correct?
Correct.
So they can find out a lot of great information about the program, but they could also sign up for the program.
They can sign up their children.
Right.
They can donate. And $30 basically funds a child for a year.
That amazes me. So it's really not that expensive for you to help promote and serve your other children in our community
Huge.
by donating and helping
Especially,
in that way.
especially for grandparents.
Right.
Part of her program requires that we don't ask parents for money. And quite frankly, most young parents don't have it.
Right.
And yet, the actual cost for 12 books and the mailing per year is $30.
Right.
The other thing on our website, we haven't talked about it yet, but we're having our first celebration fundraiser.
Right. And this is a great event that's coming up February 23rd. The Verde Valley Imagination Library. It's going to be at the Blazin M Ranch, right?
And we chose it because it's a family venue.
Right. And kids are welcome, right?
Kids are welcome.
Grandparents, we want
Kids are welcome.
everyone to come out and learn about the program, but also to, if you can, afford to sponsor a child or even two, if you can. I was thinking $30. Geez, how many trips to Starbucks is that you could skip and educate a child, right?
Not to mention, we have a silent and live auction
Which
where
is
you
even
might
better.
get something back.
Really cool,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So a great venue for a great event.
And entertainment.
And entertainment. So
Chandra and
right.
Tom.
Yeah, they're amazing people too. Wonderful. So again, this event is Sunday, February 23rd from 5 to 8:30 p.m. at the Blazin M. And again, there's information about that at vvilbooks.com.
And all the tickets are online.
Right. So you can order and pay everything for your tickets on that website. So, we've been touching, why is it important? We've obviously given quite a bit of reasons as to why, right? So children's language and vocabulary at age 3 predicts who will struggle in school, right? So
yes,
that's, again, I'm reading through some of these stats. It's really kind of scary.
It is and it isn't. We've in my past life, we always talked about getting to the kids early, so if they need extra help, they don't fall behind.
Right.
And the longer you wait to give the extra help, the harder it is for the child to catch up.
Right.
And unfortunately, a child who starts kindergarten behind, their experience is not as positive.
Right.
So they're more likely to struggle, get demoralized. Sometimes they act out.
Yeah.
And bad.
Yeah. No, well, I could say, unfortunately, my first experiences with school were similar to that, because my mom didn't speak English very well. Migrant parents, first generation here. So.
But that's when great teachers.
But it is, and I have to say, unfortunately, my kindergarten teacher wasn't all that great. But my first and second, third grade were. So it kind of made up for it. But yes, I can personally deal with that and feel that struggle. So maybe that's why I'm a little bit more interested in this and wanting to give that advantage to my grandchildren.
I'm going to give a plug to something else.
Yes.
Read On Arizona is really looking to how to improve the reading skills of the population, of the children especially. Right. And they are particularly looking at new ways for teachers to teach reading between kindergarten and third grade. And legitimately, about 20% of the kids have troubles with reading. And the studies really show that if you find out why they're struggling and teach to the way they learn best, the outcomes are much better. And rather than having the child feel badly about not being able to read,
give them solutions
give them
ways
solutions and keep them engaged and know that there's alternatives and they can thrive.
Right. What might be some of the common issues you think that some of the youngsters might have with the reading? Just not being exposed to it, or?
It's interesting. There's a certain percentage of kids that'll start kindergarten reading just because they've sponged it and picked it up at home. There's quite a few kids that they just don't have the language and vocabulary background. And that's what this program is particularly good at. And then there's a subset of kids that have alternative ways of learning to read. And some learn visually, some learn phonetically. And a classic example, if this child's blind, they learn by touch.
Right.
So
well, and
there's
dyslexia, right? There's other issues.
Yes,
right.
Dyslexia is about 20% of the time.
Okay.
Sometimes kids have visual problems.
Right. They might need glasses or something, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's news about that, and they're actually updating some of the teacher skills on how to teach kids to read.
Right.
And so
it's even teaching is an ongoing learning process.
Absolutely.
Right?
And in this state there's a teachers academy that they're thinking about funding, which I'm all in favor of.
Yeah.
Because keeping teacher skills honed is and investing in ongoing education for our teachers, I'm all in favor of.
So I've heard that you know a lot about different brain scans and how we learned and the difference between maybe boys and girls.
Oh, it's fascinating.
And I know that's a whole other show we could do.
It's a lot of fun.
I saw something recently that girls really are. So when my granddaughter says boys drool and girls rule, she's right.
We each have our gifts. But one of the more interesting things is in young babies, the speech centers, the verbal centers are on both sides of the brain in girls and one side in boys.
Right.
and they do learn differently.
They do. Yeah.
And there's all sorts of fascinating studies looking at how you teach and of course there's girls that brains are wired more in the bridge area and boys that are wired more in the bridge area.
Right.
But yes, there's differences.
And it's great to actually know that and be able to see that and learn
appreciate
from it.
Our differences.
Right, absolutely.
rather than saying which one's better than the other.
All right, so I'm going to tell her just because our brains are wired differently. I'm not really drooling.
Right. And actually, both organizations and families do well if they have a little of both sides.
Right. Okay, we're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, we'll wrap up.
Yeah.
So thank you.
This is Bruce Morrow, Transportation Manager for Cottonwood Area Transit. Remember, we cover the entire Verde Valley and Sedona. Cottonwood Area Transit has you covered wherever you want to ride in the Verde Valley, all day, every day. Take Cottonwood Area Transit through Clarkdale, Verde Village, and from 26 locations in Cottonwood. With Verde Links, it's a quick and easy trip to Sedona every day. Don't forget our connectors to Camp Verde. Visit cottonwoodaz.gov for Cottonwood Area Transit and take a seat. Let's go ride.
There are people who struggle with addiction and homelessness. Sometimes it may feel like there is nothing we can do to help.
But there is. You can make a tax-deductible donation and help those in need transition away from homelessness. When you give someone a handout, you could actually be supporting an addiction.
A better life starts with better health, especially for those living in the streets.
Support solutions, not addictions. You can make a difference. Visit cottonwoodcares.org.
Welcome back to Rediscover the Verde Valley. Again, I'm Christian Oliva Del Rio with the Cottonwood Chamber of Commerce, and I have Dr. Jean Barton here with me. And we're talking all things books and kids and Imagination Library.
Yes.
It's exciting and wonderful information you've been sharing with us, and I sure do appreciate your time and last minute call to get here and help me out, fill in the space.
When you're passionate about a topic, it's not hard.
It is, right. And we can't tell that you're passionate about it. I sure do. It's infectious. So, your passion really does go a long way, and we appreciate it. So, one thing you had just mentioned to me, and I think that's really important for us to share as well. So, are the books available through like a Kindle or?
No.
No. So these are actual physical books, which is huge. I think it's very important, right?
The more studies that come out say that the screens do not substitute for the books.
Right.
And have watched autistic children really get distracted by the bells and whistles of the Kindle devices and just the mechanics of it. And so they lose the social interaction piece that often gets shared. Plus, quite frankly, when they're 6, 12 months old, they're in their mouth and they're drooling, and you not only don't want them to lose it and break it, but you may not want to return that book to the library.
Right. Yeah. No, I hear you. There's something about the physical feel of the book, the walk out to the mailbox to get the book, come back in, and that feel and the smell of turning the pages. It does. It has a lot to do with that. There's a time and the place, I think, for screens and tablets.
Even with reading. And there's quite a bit of research when it comes to the decoding of phonics and actual sight recognition of letters and sounds. That's where I think some of the computer-generated software, and some of the libraries have it, come in handy. But that's usually when the kids are older.
A little bit older, yeah, right. So this program is for birth to 5 years old.
They graduate the month they turn 5.
Okay.
And this is an aside.
Yeah.
When I took over the program in 2016, I really wanted to get to the 0 to 3. Because 80% of the brain is wired in that age group. And if you wait until later, first of all, they're mobile and they're running around, and it's harder to
it's a little easier to get them.
Sit down and pay attention.
Well, I would lay my granddaughter right here on my chest, and we would have a book, and she'd flip the pages, So yeah, it's
before they walk.
Right. And the sooner you do that, the more they realize it's fun, it's engaging, and it's quality time with grandpa, mom, dad, grandma, whoever, aunt, uncle, everybody. The entire family should be engaged in that, right? So.
And if one parent speaks Spanish and one parent speaks English, all the better.
Yes, I was going to say, because again, coming from parents of immigrants, that's
I forgot that.
my parents spoke to me in French, and I would reply in English. And same with my siblings. That's how we grew up. Mom was learning English as well, coming to the country. She actually learned Spanish before she learned English. English is a little harder to learn, but yeah, it's important because their little sponges are absorbing up all that information. They're going to learn 2 languages.
They do,
and that's huge. It's a huge benefit.
A lot of studies show that children that learn 2 languages do very well.
Right. So one of the things we talked about, we had 2,000 preschoolers in the Verde Valley.
We are at 1,975.
That's
just short of 2,000. We've reached about a plateau point, and I expect it to probably stay at that, depending upon our census. I don't even know truly how many kids are eligible under 5 that live in the Verde Valley. And I might add, the eligibility is only age and whether they live in an area where it's funded, and that's by zip code.
Okay. And again, that's information that people can find out through the website or by contacting?
The national site is imaginationlibrary.com. And they have all sorts of information, first of all, about the program, about actually how to start a new affiliate if you live in an area that doesn't have it. And they also saying, is my child eligible? And you literally enter the child's birth date and your zip code and address, and they'll tell you it's not yet in your area, or it's coming soon, we'll put you on the waiting list, or, oh yes, you are eligible.
That's wonderful. Okay, so we're gonna tell people again about this event.
Thank you.
February 23rd. At the Blazin M Ranch. It's going to be from 5 to 8:30 p.m. Entertainment, raffle and auction items, chuck wagon dinner. Tickets are $50, and you can register at vvilbooks.com. If you need more information, it says to call Jeanette Bill at 928-301-1363.
That's right.
So wonderful. Unfortunately, we are out of time. It goes by so fast. I'm making this commitment to you. I think that the chamber definitely wants to be involved and engaged in this program, and we're going to help support and promote any way we can. So
thank you.
Thank you for all the work you do.
It's my pleasure.
We appreciate it. And thank you for being here.
Okay.
All right, folks, we'll see you next time. Thank you.